The sun beat down on Havana. Tourists strolled through the streets, soaking in the vibrant Cuban culture. But for Joseph Mahmoud Dibi, the tropical paradise was about to become a cage. After 11 years on the run, the long arm of the law finally caught up to him. It was 2018 and Dibi was living under an assumed identity, a world away from his life in the United States. He thought he was safe, anonymous. He was wrong. Acting on a tip, Cuban authorities apprehended Dibi. His life as a fugitive was over. Dibi wasn't wanted for any ordinary crime. He was wanted for his alleged involvement with a radical environmental group, the Earth Liberation Front, or ELF. The FBI had been searching for him for over a decade. He was considered armed and dangerous, a domestic terrorist. The arrest sent shockwaves through the environmental movement and beyond. For years, Dibi had been a ghost, a whispered legend. Now, he was front-page news, his face plastered across newspapers and websites around the world. The ELF was not your typical environmental group. Forget petitions and protests. They believed in direct action. They were the eco-warriors, the radical fringe of the movement. Their weapon of choice? Arson. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, the ELF claimed responsibility for a string of arsons across the United States. Luxury homes, SUVs, logging facilities, anything they deemed harmful to the environment was fair game. They caused millions of dollars in damage, all in the name of Mother Earth. Dibi was suspected of being a key player in the ELF's reign of fire. The FBI believed he was involved in several arsons, including a fire that destroyed a horse slaughterhouse in Oregon. They called him a domestic terrorist. Dibi, of course, maintained his innocence. His capture reignited the debate about the ELF and their tactics. Were they eco-warriors fighting for a just cause, or were they dangerous criminals who deserved to be punished? The ELF's actions divided the environmental movement. Some praised their boldness, their willingness to take a stand against environmental destruction. Others condemned their tactics, arguing that violence was never the answer. There's no doubt that the ELF brought attention to important environmental issues. Their actions sparked conversations about deforestation, urban sprawl, and animal cruelty. But at what cost? Their arson attacks put lives at risk, even if they claimed no one would get hurt. Their tactics alienated potential allies and gave ammunition to those who sought to paint the entire environmental movement as extremist. The ELF's legacy is a complicated one. They were a product of their time, a time when frustration with government inaction on environmental issues was boiling over. But their methods were extreme, and their impact on the environmental movement is still debated today. Dibi's capture forced the world to confront a difficult question. When is it justified to break the law in the name of a cause you believe in? Is there a line that shouldn't be crossed, even when the stakes are as high as the fate of the planet? The climate crisis is no longer a distant threat. It's here, it's real, and it's getting worse every day. The question of how to address this crisis is perhaps the most important one facing humanity today. Some argue that we need more radical action, that the time for incremental change has passed. Others believe that violence is never the answer, that we must find peaceful solutions to the climate crisis. So, what do you think? Were the ELF justified in their actions? As the planet heats up and the consequences of climate change become ever more dire, is it time for a new breed of environmental activism?